Welcome back to Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray.
And I'm Kenneth Richardson.
And Kenneth, today we have a lot of news that we need to get into. We have the extraordinary performance from our men's and women's track and field teams. We also have our very own who has secured a top podium spot, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We're also going to have a 10-minute discussion about the halfway point to what we're seeing from our men's and women's basketball teams. We're about the halfway part of SWAC competition. So I believe that it's suitable for us to have this conversation right now. We're also going to be introducing people that were there to report over that as well. So we hope that you guys had an amazing weekend. I know that I did. I hope you did as well. So let's get right on into the news. The first thing we're going to talk about is men's and women's track and field. The PV track team competed last weekend in the SWAC Indoor Championship at the Birmingham Sports Complex in Birmingham, Alabama, where they received podium finishes on the track and on the field. For women's, Savoria Anderson came out hungry, securing the #1 spot in the triple jump with a leap of 12.6 meters and earned the most outstanding field performer to add to her impressive resume. Zara Richardson set a new personal record and new school record in the 800 with a time of 2:21.53 and took third in the competition, furthering the women's success at the SWAC Championship. Leah Murphy finished in third in the 5,000 with a time of 19.898, securing a podium spot. Our very own Morgan Davila won the high jump, clearing 1.67 meters and securing first place. Following Morgan, Demaya Malone finished second, clearing the height of 1.62 meters, placing two PVMU athletes on the podium for the same event. Zara Richardson, Treasure Bethea, Miracle Price, and Leah Murphy set a new school record of 12:20.77 for the relays, finishing third. Additionally, Madison Mokoroy took second in the pole vault with a mark of 3.21 meters. Lastly, Michaela Booker and Sinai Kitchen each secured a new personal record, finishing second and third respectively.
As for the men's success, it was still in season with plentiful podium finishes. Damian Phillips and Daryl McElroy were outstanding in the pole vault, securing second and third place respectively. The men's 4x4 relay, which included Bryce McFadden, Isaiah Barnes, Asaya Brown, and Christian Derrick, placed third overall with the season's best of 3 minutes and 13 seconds. With the momentum for the SWAC competition, the track and field teams look toward the outdoor season debut at the McNeese Cowboy Relays in McNeese, Louisiana on March 8th. Here, they will begin their outdoor season and continue showcasing their success throughout the indoor season.
Moving further, we're going to go straight into men's baseball. Prairie View men's baseball participated in the MLB Andre Dawson Classic this past weekend, where they took a 0-14 loss against Jackson State and an 11-13 loss against Grambling State. The Panthers went scoreless against Jackson State, struggling to gain footing in the competition. Senior pitcher Camden Farmer threw a scoreless inning for the Panthers and allowed one hit with one walk and 2 strikeouts. Freshman Corey Lockett produced offensively for the Panthers with a triple on the day and finishing 1-1. Prairie View has had numerous chances to score with runners in scoring position, yet they went 0 for 3, failing to capitalize on their opportunities. Prairie View faced Grambling State in their Sunday morning matchup, putting up a valiant effort, yet still taking the loss against the Tigers. Prairie View started slow, trailing 0-7 before scoring 2 runs in the third, but with sophomore Amar Donato's scoring run, which was a single. After scoring, Prairie View scored 6 runs within the 3rd, 5th, and 6th innings, and only allowed 1 run scored during their scoring clinic. However, Grambling State scored 5 runs in the 7th in retaliation to the Panthers' offensive push. Prairie View rallied back in the 8th and the 9th with 5 runs combined, but it wasn't enough to get them over the top. In the 9th, senior Jaden Williams' two-run homer was the spark that began the 9th inning, yet as previously mentioned, it wasn't enough. These losses placed Prairie View at 2-6 on the season, but they look towards their upcoming game against Houston-Tillotson University on Tuesday, February 25th, where they will look to regain some much-needed momentum for the beginning of their season.
In softball news, the softball team was in action this weekend against South Dakota and North Dakota State at the East Texas Commerce Lion Classic, where they took their only win which was in Game 1 against South Dakota, falling to South Dakota in the second game and losing Game 1 and 2 against North Dakota State. In Game 1, South Dakota, Prairie View took the first game with an 8-4 victory. Prairie View put up points early with a run scored in the first inning from Reagan Green, who got an RBI that led to Kirsten Tinsley scoring. In the second inning, sophomore Laney Needhofer scored, giving Prairie View a 2-0 advantage over South Dakota in the sixth inning. Prairie View's lead was no more as South Dakota heated up in the sixth, scoring 4 runs and taking the lead. In the same inning, Prairie View scored 6 runs, regaining the lead, while this lead was held on for the rest of the game, resulting in a great win to start the day. In the second game, though, Prairie View faced the same team, but the outcome was different. Prairie View took a 4-1 loss against South Dakota, making them 1-1 on the day. The only score coming from an RBI by Hannah Garza that led to a run scored by Deanne McKinley. This Sunday's matchup against North Dakota State resulted in a back-to-back losses on the day, with scores of 3-5 and 3-11, respectively. Prairie View in the first game started off with an early score in the first inning, but the lead was quickly lost in the second. In the third inning, trailing 2-1, Prairie View rallied back and scored one more time from Mina Nunez, one-out solo homer to even the game. In the sixth inning, Prairie View scored again, taking the lead going into the inning, but that wasn't until later in that inning that North Dakota had rallied back and scored 3 runs to take the win in the first match. The second match featured North Dakota State scoring in bunches, leaving Prairie View in a stressful spot all contest. North Dakota State had their biggest offensive output in the fourth inning with 6 runs scored. Prairie View rallied back in the fifth inning, but North Dakota State scored 1 run in the final 2 innings to put Prairie View away. Softball will continue in their season at the UTA Mavericks tournament in Arlington, Texas, where they will face East Texas A&M in the first game of the tournament. Good luck, Panthers.
Furthering more on today's episode of Panther Sports Zone, we're going to go directly into men and women's basketball, but we're going to do it a little different. We're going to talk about their mid-season. We're going to talk about a mid-season checkup on both of these teams. We're going to start with women's basketball first. We're going to talk about their 67-65 win against UAPB last weekend. So Kenneth, we've seen this team last year. We've seen this team prior to last year, but we've seen what they've been able to do this year. And there were a few things that needed to be mentioned when we talk about this win that they got over UAPB. Now, granted, UAPB is they're 12th in the SWAC in both men's and women's. Mm-hmm. So they're not that good of a team if we're talking about their production on the season. But even with that being said, Prairie View sits around 10-9 in both men's and women's. They're approaching the bottom, but they're not at the bottom yet. Mm-hmm. So when you see a win that's 67-65, as close as it really was, and in reality, if Niam Thornton didn't hit the game-winning shot, mm-hmm. there wouldn't be a win in the column for the Panthers for this matchup. So, I have a few questions for you. My first question to you is: do you see the season turning around for the Panthers anytime soon? For the women specifically. I
mean, for the women's, that was a big win. I mean, obviously, you just need a win to get some momentum, and for them to win. I mean, I take wins how it is. It could be 64 to, you say the score was 67-65. It could have been 66-65. It could have went to triple overtime, 4 overtimes. It doesn't matter. As long as they're winning games, which I am happy that they have finally done, which is really good. But I mean, I don't feel like it can be no turnaround because we are already towards literally more of the end of the season. So that turnaround would be more towards of, okay, can we make the SWAC tournament? Mm-hmm. Can we get enough in to try to work on getting into the tournament or something like that, just to get a spot in the tournament, in the big tournament. So, I mean, there's little things that can help it. Obviously, I would want them to finish the season all the way through at the best rate they can because they're not a bad team. They're a great team. I mean, obviously, when we're playing to our strengths and we're playing genuinely like how we can play, I mean, we can't be stopped on the rebounding end sometimes on the games. We can't be stopped downhill scoring and a lot of fast break scoring. So there's little pieces that can obviously make them into the winning team that they are. But I feel like it's just little things, obviously mentally, physically. You know, you got to take care of your body. We're getting towards that literally at the end of the season. So obviously, you know, playing games back to back here and there, body is obviously getting a little slower, getting a little sluggish, you're getting fatigued more, you know, you're coming out of games more, you know what I'm saying? And obviously it's just definitely how things will be played around, you know?
Yeah, and you touch on a lot of very important things. You talk about how it's the mid-season, people are starting to feel that fatigue. A lot of people are starting to have to mentally check in a lot more when it comes to playing these games. You know, when you start off the season, you're fresh. It's just all about hooping, but now it's about playing basketball, but also making sure that you're checking your boxes, that you are instinctively able to do. So one of the things that I wanted to also ask you before we move on to men's basketball is that the women's basketball game, specifically this game right here, you talked about rebounding and how fast break points and points that are generated not in the half court is our bread and butter. One of the things that we saw while being at the game was the fact that their half court scoring was plentiful, but the rebounding and the physicality part of the game was something that we see a lot of the times our teams kind of start to go away, or it starts to disappear. The physicality, the rebounding, the intangibles, the things that happen down low start to go away later in the quarters.
Yeah.
When we were there covering the UAPB game, starting off the game, we were on fire. I mean, we were dominating both down low, getting stops. We saw Jade, I want to say his name is Jade Polk, last name Polk. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but she's a very tall woman. She long wingspan. She was able to get rebounds, disrupt the scores down low. She was able to do a lot of different things. Amari Williams is a great post scorer, a great defender as well. But what we started to see was that the rebounding category did not match up to the clientele that we had, let alone having them have the advantage down low. So my question to you is, what do you think needs to change in terms of, like, do you think it's an effort thing? Do you think it's an intangible thing they need to practice on? Late game efficiency and late game effort. Can you speak onto that for me?
I mean, being an athlete, so really getting to see how games are played, and especially around this time of the year. I mean, I was used to playing in high school, especially in the playoffs around this time, so I know what those late game situations are like. And a lot of that comes with just confidence, and it comes with knowing what is the right thing to do in those times that you're playing. Like, we're getting down close to games like that being a nail-biter win, them only winning 67 to 65. There's obviously key mistakes that are made from either team to see who comes out on top of the win. Because a game that's that close, it was obviously a mistake made somewhere in those last 2 minutes of the game, because they play 4 quarters. So that mindset that you have coming into that fourth quarter needs to be, we're going to come out with the win. We can't. We need to do everything right. We need to run every play needs to be ran to perfection. Every defensive stop needs to be needed. There needs to be no stupid fouls. There needs to be, what's another thing I could say? It needs to be like just an overall mindset thing, because after a while, especially in the fourth quarter, this is a game where the coach is now on the court. Who is the coach on the court? Who is directing the offense? Who is telling people all these things? Because when it comes to that fourth quarter, the crowd is probably still more intensely into the game. So you can't hear a lot of things. You can't know which plays are going to be called. You have to know what is ran off of the mindset. You got to look at the set, look at what the defense is giving you. They're giving you a man, you can run a post game. If they're giving you a 2-3, you can run a post game to get the 3 out. If they're giving you a 3-2, you can get the post game to run a 3 out in the corner every single time. So there's little things that can always add to it and making the game easier in that fourth quarter.
Continues.
Exactly. You understand.
Of course. We know ball around here. But what we're going to do is we're going to shift it to the MMJ that we have prepared for you guys. This is people that went to the game, were able to cover it. So we're going to send you guys to the MMJ for the women's basketball team when they played UAPB. We'll be right back, and we're going to go dive into men's basketball immediately after. Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and today we're here at the UAPB versus Prairie View A&M University Lady Panthers basketball game. Coming into this game, UAPB is bottom of the SWAC. Prairie View sits at 2 spots above UAPB. We're seeing 2 teams that are having pretty similar seasons. However, Prairie View has won 4 games compared to UAPB's 1 win. Right now, we're a little bit into the first quarter of the game. Prairie View is up by a few points and a few possessions. We're going to give you guys live updates as the game continues, and we'll keep updating you here on Panther Sports Zone. The Panthers started off strong, amassing a 9-point lead in the first quarter, scoring 20 points in total, keeping Arkansas and Pine Bluff at just 11 and shooting 25% from the field. However, UAPB came back in the second quarter, scoring 18 points and limiting Prairie View to just 10 points in the quarter, narrowing the lead to only 1, and having Prairie View shoot only 35% from the field and missing all 4 of their 3-point attempts. Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and we're a few seconds away from the third quarter beginning. Prairie View had its largest lead of 11 points. It's now cut to 1 by UAPB's 18-point second quarter. The keys to the game is Prairie View's ability to continue to out-rebound them. They lead with an 11 rebound advantage, but however, UAPB, has been able to come back and rally with, like I said, an 18-point quarter. They're shooting great from deep, and they're making the most out of their possessions. Prairie View needs to stop this flow that we've seen from UAPB from the second quarter and shut down any hopes of a comeback. We're going to be with you guys at the end of the game with a deep analysis of how this game conspired at the end of regulation, as well as coach and player interviews. We will see you guys at the end of the game. Prairie View in the third quarter shot 58% from the field and 40% from the three, knocking down just 2 of their 5 three-point attempts and knocking down 3 of their 4 free throws, all to maintain this lead. However, Prairie View could not replicate their performance from the first and third quarter, shooting 17% from the field, giving UAPB a chance to tie the game, sending it to overtime. In overtime, it was a dogfight, but Niam Thornton for the Panthers hit the game-winning shot. We're going to now cut to an interview with our player of the game, Niam Thornton. Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and I'm here with the woman that hit the game-winning shot, Niam Thornton. Niam, when you went into this game, UAPB is last in the SWAC, so obviously going into this game, you guys, I feel like you have a little bit of confidence going against this team. So what was your mindset when you guys, after jump ball, y'all started playing, what was the mindset going through the game?
Just controlling the game, having my team's back, and I know they got mine. So we already beat them at their place, so we knew what the game plan was, and we came out and we executed it.
So they had an explosive second quarter. They had 18 points,
yeah.
But it seems you guys were steadfast in your ability to maintain your offense and be disciplined on defense.
Yeah.
So what was going through y'all's minds, and what was the game plan coming after that second quarter going into the next half?
We just know what we got, and we know what we know our strength and weaknesses. So whenever we go out there, as long as we got each other's back and we bring the energy on offense and defense, we know that we're gonna go out there and we're gonna come out with the dub, hopefully. But if not, then we went out there and we did our best. So.
And everybody's wondering that's watching right now, what was going through your mind when taking that last shot? You beat her on the drive, you pulled up, there was no resistance. So what was going through your mind?
Only thing that's going through my mind is I don't get that without Mari. Mari set a great screen, but also nobody can guard me in SWAC. So I'm taking that shot. Whether we like it or not, I'm taking that shot.
For sure. This has been KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone with Niam Thornton, the woman that hit the game-winning shot. We'll be back with you guys Monday to give a recap of what happened today.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Zone, and now we're moving on to the men's side of basketball things. So the men sit at a record of 4-23, with only three of those wins coming from conference, which was Grambling State, Mississippi Valley State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. So now we have already missed the chance to beat Grambling State and Arkansas Pine Bluff again to sweep that season series between them. But we have another chance to win against Mississippi Valley State again tonight.
Yes.
Right now we have 2 10 points per game scores, 2 double-digit points per game scores that are currently playing. As Nick Anderson sits out with a leg injury, Tahaj Petaway and Braylon Bush have both been organizing the offense in great ways to help them score. Now, that hasn't led to a good way on defensively. I mean, we're missing a lot of players, 2 injuries, and that is what's really, like I say, dementing the team's success. Is not really looking good for the team so far. My question for you, Khalid, is how do you feel about how the basketball team has been playing this season? Is it lowered? Has your expectations not been met? Has your expectations been exceeded? Like, what is really going on?
Well, I feel like one of the main things that we need to talk about, really, when we speak about this basketball team, is the fact that we're injured. Let's be honest. Nick Anderson and Tahaj Petaway have both been leading the SWAC in scoring multiple times. Tahaj Petaway has been Player of the Week twice. Nick Anderson, when he was playing, he averaged 21, 22 points. He led the SWAC in scoring. We had 2 of the best scorers in the SWAC. Now, granted, Nick Anderson being out with an injury, it does take a big hit. I think a lot of people need to understand that's one of the biggest reasons why our record is what it is, because we don't have everybody right now. I also believe that the clientele that we have not had their feet wet yet in playing. Let's just say it how it is. Bolton Jr. is a 6'11" big man. We saw his first set of like plays when he played against UAPB. UAPB had several players over the height of 6'8". Each were able to contribute. Each were able to contribute vast. Their big man was a very solid post scorer. The guy was getting anything that he was getting: post hooks, straight line drives, drop steps, anything that he really wanted down low, he was able to get on the block. But going back to your question, do I believe that are my expectations lowered? Are they higher? Are they trying to figure that part out. I really don't have any expectations anymore after figuring out what's going on behind, really what's going on.
Yeah.
We got to understand that these players are being told to step up in ways that was not built for them, if that makes sense. Not saying that these players cannot do cannot fit the role, but it's difficult to be that person that needs to be able to soak up fouls, but also produce on defense, also be able to get the rebounds, also to produce offensively. Nick Anderson was a pivotal part. Yeah. Not only was he one of the best scorers on the team, he was also very good defensively. Wow. He has the build to play defense. He has the build to guard 1 through 5. He has the ability to score and get a bucket as well. But once he's gone, Tanaj Petway is now having to step up as the primary scorer. Braylon Bush, who was, even when we were talking about it, Braylon Bush was regarded as somebody that we know could get a bucket.
He's been a dog.
He's been a dog.
He's been a dog since high school.
Exactly. So, but now his role is primary or secondary scorer to Tanaj Petway. But one player that we're not, failing to mention is Jordan Tillman. Jordan Tillman, at the beginning of the season, we interviewed him when we started, covering the first couple games of the season, and Jordan Tillman was a player that was just on the bench, didn't really have a lot of I would say a lot of skin in the game. But as the season continued, Jordan has really stepped up as that go-to guy. Even against UAPB, he had, I want to say it was 19 or 20. It was between 19. He had 20-plus points. Yeah. I know that for sure. The guy goes out there, he gets a bucket, he wills his team to success. In the MJ that we're going to be showing shortly, you hear how the coaches talk about just how much impact Jordan has on the game, offensively. So when we think about expectations and all of those things considered, I believe that the Prairie View is at not where they need at, but where they fall. Yeah. It's not because they don't give enough effort. I mean, I believe that they go out there and they play 100% every single game. Now, sometimes, some quarters, we can, it's debatable, but when we think about the overall, I mean, we're still talking about a team that gave Oklahoma a run for their money. Yeah. So my expectations are they will be able to play for a spot. I feel like they'll still make it to be able to play in the SWAC tournament. I still feel like they have a chance to make it into the SWAC tournament. But what's going to be the difference maker is if the players that we have can step up in ways that we have not seen them step up before. Yep. Marcel Bryant, Elijah Terry, Bolton Jr., great bigs, and they're all versatile in their own ways. But we definitely want to see a lot more production down low, a lot more discipline. Yeah. Marcel last game had 5 fouls. Can't have that happening. We also saw Bolton Jr. Going out there, we need him to be able to be up to speed in terms of defensive rotations. We need a lot more communication defensively. I saw a lot of times where Jordan Tillman would be guarding down low. We would have Elijah on the perimeter. We need to find some way to get that to be switched. There's just a lot of things that are very minuscule, but can be very detrimental. We've seen it be detrimental before. But we're gonna have the reporters there on the scene go a little bit deeper into what both Jordan Tillman speaks on in terms of his scoring output, as well as the coach's perspective on just how the Prairie View Panthers are playing this season. So we're going to shift this right to the MJ. We will see you guys after this MJ plays. Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and we're here at the doubleheader, UAPB playing on our men's basketball team. Prairie View just came away from another loss on the season. They're extending their losing streak, but tonight they look to erase that and start a new winning streak. Tanaj Petway and Braylon Bush have been the main forces on offense. We also have a lot of good defenders in Marcel Bryant and Elijah Terry, but we'll be back at a halftime to give you guys more live updates on what's conspiring throughout this first half. The first half showed great production from the bench, with the bench having 20 points in the first half alone. Jordan Tillman, who came off the bench, contributed 22 points on the night, but was the spark plug for the Panthers to keep them in the game. Marcel Bryant also came off the bench and electrified the defense, racking up a block and immediately scoring after. Down low, the Panthers struggled in the first half, giving up 28 points in the paint. At halftime, it was 32-31, with the Panthers down by 1 point going into the second half.
Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and we're here at halftime. UAPB is up by 1 point. Prairie View started off this game a little slow, a little sluggish, but as the game kind of continued with the substitution of Marcel Bryant, Marcel within the first minute came in with a block and a score. We're trying to see Tanaj heat up a little bit. He's been kind of iced from the free throw line. He hasn't been making a lot of the shots he's been taking up, but Prairie View remains resilient as they go into the second half. We're going to come back to you guys at the end of regulation to give you guys an update on just what happened throughout the second half of the game.
The second half, UAPB came out blazing, shooting an astounding 66% from the field and 50% from the three, knocking down 2 out of the 4 3-point shots they put up. The story of the second half was the production from all of our starters. Tanaj Petway lit up in the fourth quarter, inevitably ending the game with 17 points. Jordan Tillman came out and contributed 22 points at the end of regulation, but was the spark plug to keep the Panthers in the game. UAPB ended the game with 54 points in the paint, along with 11 second chance points and 16 points coming from the contribution of their bench. Prairie View ended the game with 36 points in the paint and had 36 bench points, as well as 8 fast break points, and capitalized on turnovers, racking up 12 points via turnovers. We will now cut to Khalid Gray, who's in the tunnel, to get an interview with key player of the game, Jordan Tillman, and assistant head coach, Spencer Robertson.
Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and I'm joined here with our player of the game, Jordan Tillman. You had 22 points, Jordan. Going into this game, you're playing against UAPB, which is ranked number 12th in the SWAC. Going into this game, you've had other showings of offensive force. I mean, I interviewed you earlier in the season. You had an amazing offensive debut, coming off the bench, and now you're a dominant, more, you're more an important offensive figure for this team. So how is it being that guy to pick up the offensive slack when your other teammates are kind of struggling a little bit?
Oh, it's good. My teammates trust me, and they put the ball in my hands, setting ball screens, and just getting me open. So I got to get all the credit to them.
One of my questions to you, and this is I'm on the sideline, I'm seeing everything. Mm-hmm. Can you talk on a little bit what the other guy from UAPB was y'all was going back and forth throughout the game. It looked like a friendly competition a little bit. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Just competitive. I'm from Pine Bluff. That's my city, and I know that whole coaching staff. I work out with them when I'm back home. So just a little competitive energy. That's it.
So you guys take on Mississippi Valley State Monday. You guys are, ramping up for that. Y'all are going to practice for that as well. What's your focus going into this game, both offensively and defensively?
Just a must-win game. Got to go in, go through the drawing board, and just figure out what we got to do. But a must-win game, most definitely.
Word. Thank you, Jordan Tillman. I mean, you had an amazing game, 22 points. It was a great offensive showing. We're going to see you guys at the Mississippi Valley game. This has been KPVU-TV Panther Sports Zone with Khalid Gray and Jordan Tillman, our key player of the game. All right. Welcome back to KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone. My name is Khalid Gray, and I'm joined here with one of our assistant coaches for the Prairie View men's basketball team. Coach, I have a few questions for you, ran them by you before we started the interview. My first question to you is, it's going to start with your offensive weapon who rose to his role now. Jordan Tillman had 22 points today, so what can you speak about his offensive production as it kind of continued throughout the season?
No, I mean, Jordan was he was huge for us tonight. I think, originally he's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, so I think, that had a big impact. So I think he wanted to, it was, kind of a statement game for him. But he was really good for us tonight. Just need him to be, more consistent down the stretch and having games, like tonight. But no, he saved us, at times, being able to score the ball and whatnot.
So one of the biggest emphasis of the game was what happened in the interior. We looked at the stat sheet, 54 points, 54 of the 75 points scored by UAPB were scored in the paint. And when we're looking at the defensive rebounding, the offensive rebounding totals, and the total rebounds, UAPB had double figures compared to us. They had 10 plus more rebounds than us. So kind of speak on the challenge it was them cycling big mans and us using, Elijah Terry, Marcel Bryant. We saw some production out of Ryan Bolton Jr. today. So kind of speak on the battle of the bigs aspect of the game.
No, give Arkansas Pine Bluff credit, man. They had a really good game plan. I think they knew that we kind of struggle, on the inside, and they, give them all the credit, man. They had a really good game plan. Like you said, most of their points came in the paint. We just got to be, honestly, we just got to be better on the inside. Did not, obviously you can see from the stat sheet, we did not play well on the inside. So we just got to get, we've got to be better. And like I said, the guys got to be more consistent, offensively and defensively on the inside. But like I said, give Arkansas Pine Bluff all the credit because they had a game plan of going inside, and they executed their game plan at a high level.
So one of my last questions to you is, we all seen it. The fans seen it. We've seen it. The officiating wasn't, I would say, consistent. People can argue what they see, but some of the times we would see Tanaj go up. I feel like Tanaj couldn't get in the rhythm because some of the foul calls weren't going his way. We also see that with Marcel. Marcel had 5 at the end of the game, battling between bigs. We saw elbows. We saw hooks being thrown down low. They're big. They're big man. There's 3 bigs. They're over 6. They're about 6'9", 6'8". They're all were able to have turns down low. Trying to make some offensive production. But the way that they were doing it, it wasn't. The officiating wasn't fair. I'll say that. So, kind of speaking on that topic, what do you feel like the officiating played in terms of the outcome of the game?
Well, I'll tell you guys this. We always tell our guys, man, don't let the game come down to officiating. You always want to, make the play so that way you don't put it in someone else's hands. So, if they miss some calls down the stretch, that's just a situation where we just have to play better, man. We've got to be in a situation where we can't let the official dictate the game. So, again, that goes back on us putting the game in somebody else's hands. But, we also, I don't remember what we shot from the free throw line. I think we were 4 for 7. But, when you do get fouled, man, you got to step up there and make free throws and whatnot. I think we missed a couple front ends of 1-and-1. So, we've got to like I said, we just got to be better, man. We've got to be better all around in every aspect of the game. And, you can't let it come down to, officiating. So.
And one of my last questions to you is, you have a big game against Mississippi Valley State. We remember last year playing them as well. We want to make sure that, we're going to be there as well to kind of cover it too. So going into this game against Mississippi Valley State, what is your game plan?
Man, the game plan now, it's coming, the later part of February and early March. You just got to find a way to win. We told our guys tonight, if you want to make it to the, your conference tournament and Atlanta, this is a must-win game. We hate to put that pressure on the guys, but, we've come down to, it's a situation where it's a must-win. So that's, we don't care how it looks. You have to win that game. So it's a must-win game for us.
Well, thank you, Coach, for sparing some time to answer some questions. This has been KPVU-TV's Panther Sports Zone with Khalid Gray and Cohen Parker behind the camera. We will see you guys in the next episode of Panther Sports Zone.
And welcome back to Panther Sports Zone. We hope you guys enjoyed that MMJ. But like we're saying, Prairie View's men and women's basketball teams have been doing what they can this season. There is no other way that we feel about this team besides the fact that they go out there and they play their hearts out every single day. Speaking of that, today is Monday, February 24th, and Prairie View will be playing Mississippi Valley State. The men's team will be playing Mississippi Valley State here at the Baby Dome at 6 p.m. We want you guys to go out there and support our Panthers and be there for our Panthers as we're approaching the mid towards end season of basketball. But as we wrap up, we'll be covering a lot more sports. We have a lot of stuff we want to kind of have in the works too. We might have some not NBA players. We might have some players from our basketball team come here Wednesday or Friday. But When we get all that solidified, we will let you guys know on our Instagram. You also find us on our YouTube at KPVU-TV. We also have our own Instagram for Panther Sports Zone, which is literally just Panther Sports Zone, with an underscore at the end, if I'm not mistaken. But this has been Khalid Gray
and Kenneth Richardson.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode of Panther Sports Zone.